All right. Welcome, guys. I'm ready to come at you with another life-changing show tonight, another topic that is going to serve so many of you. It's going to liberate so many of you. It is going to free so many of you. It is going to be one of those sorts of just takeaways that maybe you haven't understood or you haven't seen or you haven't really you've been told about. A lot of people have been deceiving you and giving you misinformation. And again, not necessarily because they're trying to, but because they're just uninformed. And guys, really what we're going to be talking about is why you are suffering the way that you're suffering in your mental health, why you're suffering in your marriage, and why you're suffering in with your relationship with your kids, or why your kids are suffering. What is really going on? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if I had a penny or a dime for every time I've talked to couples or I've talked to people and it's like, yeah, I'm dealing with anxiety or depression or sadness or overwhelm or grief or anger. And we get into the weeds of that. And it's like, yeah, but I don't think that's really has anything to do with my finances. That's something that's unrelated. That's something different. I've been struggling with that since I was a kid, or in college this happened to me, or when I was younger this happened to me, or no, my husband's going through this and that's kind of his thing, but it kind of bleeds over, whatever. I don't think it's really connected to the money, or yeah, but my kids, it's just, my kids got sick and this happened and it's just kind of school and coronavirus. It's just kind of all this others. I just don't think it has to do with my money. And, my health, it's kind of, not going so well, but, I haven't been eating the right things. I think it's just my diet. Or I haven't exercised enough, but yeah, I just don't think it has anything to do with the finances. Right. And I hear this all the time. And guys, I have to shed some light on this. So for so many, this is going to set you free. This is going to be so eye-opening because again, you've been lied to, you've been deceived. And then a lot of times, again, you just flat out, again, people just, they didn't, they're not trying to do it for you. But again, they've been trained in other things. There's lots of experts out there. They're going to tell you, hey, it's this problem, it's this problem, it's this problem, it's this problem. But at the end of the day, because they know nothing about money, they know nothing about the cause of all of, the problems in life that stem from money. And the fact that they're broke or they're having money problems or they have financial stress on some level, they're not experts on it. And so they're just going to tell you, oh, it's this. It's because you don't have this prescription, or it's because, oh, you don't have this. You haven't done enough marriage counseling, or it's because, oh, you haven't done enough. You need to get your kids in therapy, or, oh, it's because, you haven't gotten the right, physical fitness expert, or it's because you haven't done all these things. And while none of these things are wrong, hey, Eric and Tracy. And by the way, guys, any questions you guys have, feel free to post them as we're doing this. And if you have any, again, if I can get to them, I will try to get to them by the end of the call or by the end of this training. So anything you guys have, feel free to put it in here, drop it. And if not, just put a hashtag replay and put it there, and I'll answer you guys in the back end after we're done. But guys, again, so many of those things you've been told this, and it's like, what is really the truth? What is it that's really going on? What is it that's holding you captive in so many different areas? So let's just start with your mental health. If you are dealing with anxiety, depression, overwhelm, sadness, anger, grief, basically if you're human, because everybody deals with it on some level, but if it's really starting to get overbearing, if it's really getting out of control where almost you feel like you're a slave to some of these things, like you almost have no control, you're just reacting and you're blowing up at your kids, or you're blowing up at your spouse, or you're just withdrawing, you're escaping, you just kind of seclude yourself and go into your own little corner and kind of hide. And, if you find yourself maybe reaching out to whether it's, medications, or take a little bit of wine, take the edge off, or, maybe it's, just binging out on TV to try to take off the edge, or scrolling on Facebook, whatever, things like that, because again, of just the suffering that you're going on a personal level, and you're feeling this emotional distress. Is it really connected to your money, or is it not? And I would wager to bet, guys, every single person I talk to in some way, shape, or form, we're going to talk about mental health and we'll talk about marriage and kids, but with your mental health, it comes back in some way to your finances. It really does. And I'll just give you a few different examples. I could give you hundreds of examples, right? But okay, guys, let's just say you're living paycheck to paycheck right now, and there's really not a big buffer. There's not a big emergency fund. Guys, when things like coronavirus happen, right? Or if you're a business owner and there's riots and you hear the commotion, coming down the street, or you watch the news and you're seeing in other cities and you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to get, riot? Am I going to get my windows broken through? Or am I going to get my stuff stolen? Or again, am I going to get laid off? Could I do this? Or is this going to affect my business? Guys, if you don't have some sort of a buffer there for you, or if you're not able to really get ahead to where you have something there in case something were to happen, guys, that is going to cause any human being stress. It's going to cause you anxiety. It's going to cause you overwhelm. It's going to cause you depression, some sort of sadness, right? If, that's one example. If you feel like because you have no plan for your money and your money's not fully under control and you know that money's just kind of slipping out your fingers, it's kind of going out the back window and you drive down the road, you're like, where did it all go at the end of the month? I don't really know. Guys, if you don't know what has to happen, okay, think through this. If you don't know, if you don't have a solid strategy and a plan for your money where it's like it's working hard for you, what happens? Like most people, what has to happen? You have to keep earning and earning more. You have to I just keep bringing it in, and it's like if I just keep making more money, if I just keep making more money, then maybe that's going to fix the problem. And guys, that's literally like, again, the boat is taking on water. Like if I just get more buckets, maybe the boat will stop sinking, and you haven't plugged the hole in the boat. You haven't plugged the hole in the boat. So if that's happening to you and you find yourself, oh my gosh, well guys, you get exhausted, you get fatigued, you get mentally wiped out, and you come home at the end of the day and you're worn out, and everyone wants a piece of you. Your spouse wants a piece of you. Your kids want a piece of you. Your boss maybe is even still texting or emailing you after hours. They will still want a piece of you. Your clients want a piece of you, and you're just worn out because you're having to work so hard to make it work because, again, your money is not working as hard for you as it could because there's nothing in place. And it's causing breakdown. It's causing breakdown in your marriage. Again, I'm just gonna have to weave all this in here because it's kind of like a web. Like I start talking about mental health and I'm like, well, this is the example of the marriage and the kids. But even with that, if you're exhausted and you're doing it, what's the problem? If you are exhausted and you're having to work so hard to make it work and to keep the bills and to keep the lights on and to keep different things going on, what happens? Well, what happens to your marriage? You get exhausted. Do you feel like having sex? No, you're tired. I'm tired. You're tired. Let's go to bed. And you do that again and you do that again. Before you know it, it's been a week, 2 weeks. I've talked to couples recently where it's like, it's been 2 months. It's been 2 years. It's been forever because before you know it, you're just like, I'm just too tired. I've lost my drive. Guys, it affects your sex drive. It affects there's so many different things, erectile dysfunction, different things like that, money stress and all this stuff. It all weaves in there. And maybe you might not desire that as much. And so then that happens. And so then again, it starts to affect your intimacy. And maybe you find yourself starting to grow a little bit further apart. You're like, oh my gosh, where are they meeting this need? Because they're not getting it from me. So how are they getting fulfilled sexually or intimately? Where are they finding that connection, that human connection? And it's like, you start wondering, oh my gosh, could there something be going on with them? Are they looking at pornography? Are they maybe, flirting with a coworker? Are they talking to, you see them talking to a neighbor? You're like, that's a little bit too long of a conversation. What's going on? It's just human nature. And so many times, again, so it starts to affect your marriage. That's just one of many areas. And so maybe, again, you start to feel more like roommates. You start to feel less like best friends, more like maybe business partners. Or again, it's like you feel like strangers. Maybe you're on a first name basis by now. And if not now, it eventually does happen if you don't fix it. And so that's, again, how just even fatigue and exhaustion can affect your marriage. Fatigue and exhaustion, again, even with your kids. You're working so hard to make it work. You don't have time to hang out with your kids. And your kids are like, mommy, daddy. They're one. It's like, Sonny, honey, I love you, but I got to work just a little bit longer. I'll get there. And I promise at some point we'll do that. And again, guys, before you know it, you wake up and they're like 3 inches taller, or they're 6 inches taller, or they're 2 grades further in, and or they're starting to drive. And before you know it, they're getting ready to go to college. And you're like, they're getting ready to have their first kid. And you're like, oh my gosh, where did the time go? What is going on? It starts, and maybe again, your kids start to feel like they were slightly abandoned, or that they didn't get the attention from you. And so if they're not getting the attention from you guys, where are they going to get it? Every human being is trying to fill a void. So if they can't get that affection and the affirmation, attention from you because you're so busy trying to make it work. And again, I'm not downing any of it. I'm not trying to beat up on anybody right now. I'm just trying to help you understand maybe why you're suffering and how you can fix it. Because so many of you guys are like, I don't know why are my kids acting out? Why don't they respect me? Why are they suffering in school? Why are all these different things? This has nothing to do with money, does it, Jeremy? And it's like, well, does it? And what we find time and time again, it's like, if you don't have the time to do that, guys, again, if you can't go on vacation, if you don't have the money to go on vacations, I know for me, my parents were always struggling financially. So we never got to go on real vacations until my first one, I think, was when I was 16 years old. And it was a week in the Smoky Mountains, and it was beautiful. And I never felt that close and connected to my parents, especially to my dad. Totally changed the dynamic between the relationship with my dad and I. So again, it was like, is it hurting? It was hurting our relationship to not have that connected time. But my parents didn't have the money to be able to constantly do those things. And so again, it was affecting our relationship. So a lot of people, again, they might say, Jeremy, I mean, yeah, my kids and they're kind of growing apart, but but they're getting older. Isn't that just a part of life? And it's like, no, you should, like, your kids should, like, the older they get, the more time they should want to spend with you. So if they're not wanting to spend time with you, again, another example, if you're dealing with anger, a lot of that stems from maybe you're feeling guilt or shame around your mistakes financially, that you feel like you're failing as a provider. So guys, when you are hurting personally and you're angry at yourself, we tend to take that anger out on other people. Okay, guys, if any of this is resonating with you, let me know in the comments. I know it is. I know some of you guys are like, Jeremy, how are you reading my mind? Because again, I've lived it, and we help hundreds of people to be able to diagnose these things and to start to get, on a plan to be able to figure it out. And so many people have been able to overcome a lot of these issues in their marriage and their finance, and their kids and their relationships, their mental health. But guys, even with that example, again, going back, if you're exhausted and you're fatigued and things like that, or if you get angry, if you're dealing with anger, again, maybe you're snapping at the kids more, and maybe you find yourself a little bit less, a little bit less patient, a little bit more. It's like, that's happening, or it's happening with with your spouse. And again, when there's anger between you and your spouse and you're butting heads, what happens? Well, again, even like going back to mental health, you start to feel disconnected. You feel lonely. What happens when you feel lonely? You feel depressed. Guys, again, it's all like this. When you're feeling sad and things like that, maybe you don't want to spend time with the kids. Maybe again, if you feel like a failure, whenever you see your kids, especially if your kids are always asking for things, Mom, can we do this? Dad, can we do this? And you're always having to say, no, 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 no. We don't have the money. 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 Guys, what happens? What happens? It hurts. It hurts. And then eventually even your kids go, I mean, am I not a priority? Like, do they not care about me? Do they not want to spend time with me? What's the deal? Like, I don't get it. And so even then, there could be an issue of like, okay, what is it really? What is it really? Like, and the kids are like, oh my gosh, growing up, like, why are they always stressed? Why are they always that? And instead, even as a kid, your kids may see you struggling. They might see you dealing with that, but they don't know how to put a finger on it. And a lot of times your kids don't even know what the problem is. It's like, but they know it's like mom and dad stressed, like leave them alone, give them some time. A lot of you guys, you saw your parents stressed growing up. And so you never wanted to bring your problems to them because you didn't want to add more pain to them. Sorry guys, I got something in my throat. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to get that out. You know, you get like a little piece of food stuck in the back of your throat. Anyways, if I do that again, sorry. Anyways, I just didn't want to cough in the camera. But again, even with that, guys, when it comes to something like that or the microphone, if some of you guys grew up, it's like you saw your parents stressed, but you didn't want to bring more pain into their already life. You withheld from them, information that was necessary. Maybe you were taken advantage of. Maybe you were hurt. Maybe you were being picked on in school. But again, you didn't talk to your parents because maybe they seemed too stressed already, and maybe they didn't seem like they had time for you. And so you just, maybe you found an outlet somewhere else. Maybe you found it with, your friends. Maybe you found it in the wrong crowd. Maybe you found it with gangs. Maybe you found it with the opposite sex and some sort of sexual relationship that was not healthy. Maybe you found it in drugs. Maybe you found acceptance and things like that. And again, it all goes back to financial stress, money stress. Guys, it is the number one, ultimately when you trace it back, when people talk about this or studies, it's like money stress, money problems, money fights, things like that. It is the number one cause of divorce. And guys, when you look at, if you look at suicides and different things like that, guys, all of these things are connected. Why do people commit suicide? Again, if you think about again, all the stuff we're talking about, the anxiety, the depression, the stress, the overwhelm, the disconnect, the sadness in their marriage, the sadness in their parenting, things like that. You can call it that, but it's like, but really, if you bring it back to even just ask yourself this, guys, just pause with me for a second. Ask yourself, if I had no debt, okay, please listen to me, guys. You need to ask yourself this question. Every single one of you guys watching, okay? If I had no debt, if I had 6 months worth of savings in the bank account, if I was retirement ready, or if I knew that I was on a solid path to retire with dignity, if I knew that my kids' college fund was funded or almost funded or get on the way there, if I knew that my house was going to be paid off and I was going to be mortgage free, if I knew that I had, and again, more than enough to encounter any sort of issues or things like that, guys, how much would you be struggling mentally? That's one way to test it. I have people all the time. They're like, Jeremy, the depression has nothing to do with the finances. Jeremy, our intimacy and our sex problems have nothing to do with the finances. Jeremy, my kids acting out or behaving, this has nothing to do with our money problems. Okay, think about it. If you had the time and the resources to be able to spend more time with your kids, connected with your kids, undistracted with your kids, if you were the best version of you and you were every day joyful and abundant and excited about life and just flowing with passion and bleeding out, again, happiness and fulfillment and things like that, how would that affect your kids? How would that affect your relationship with your kids? Would you want to spend more time with them? Would they want to spend more time with you? Would they want to, again, would they open up to you more? Would you have more time, and would you make the time to go on vacation or do different things like that? Because a lot of times you're like, I don't have the time. You tell yourself that, but again, sometimes it's just too painful, because again, it's like to face the truth of like how much it's broken. It's people avoid it. And then we hide in our work, we hide in different things like that. But again, the truth is if you didn't have any of those financial pressures, how much better would your relationship be with your kids? How much better would your kids be? When you think about your marriage, if you had no money stress whatsoever, you never thought about money, you were totally aligned on all your financial dreams and goals, if you knew the timelines you were going to get there, if you were both working hard to get it, if every single week you were like, pinch me, I'm dreaming, I cannot believe this is our life financially. Like, we have more than enough. You're able to give generously. Again, even if you think about that, it's more blessed to give than to receive. The happiness that comes from financial abundance and being able to give that abundance away. Jesus said there's so much blessing, there's so much joy in that. If you think about it, how much better would your marriage be if you and your spouse were able to write checks to some of your greatest, the foundations or the nonprofits or your church, or your pastors, or people who need the missionaries playing the churches? How much different would that make your life? If you really think about it, how much better would life be? How much more sweet would your marriage be if you were totally connected on every single one of your values? Every single one of them. If every single week you knew exactly what the other person, what they wanted and what you wanted and how it merged together, and you're both striving for them, like, plowing in the same direction toward your goals and toward your dreams. If you had no pressure from the bills, and instead of talking about how are we going to pay this, how are we going to pay that, how are we going to fund this, how are we going to fund that, how are we going to retire, how are we going to pay for college, how are we going to do this, all you got to do is just like, hey, who do we want to give this month? Like, where do we want to go on vacation? What car do we want to get? Where do we want to upgrade? It's like, what cruise do we want to go on? Like, what organization do we want to support? Like, how much money do we want to write to our church this month? Like, guys, if that was your life, and I can tell you from personal experience and the experience of our clients, guys, like that when that happens, guys, marriage gets freaking amazing. Amazing. It is phenomenal. So ask yourself again, if I didn't have the financial stress in my life, if there was zero financial stress, if there was zero tension in our marriage around money, if I had more time freedom because I wasn't having to work so hard to make more money, when really sometimes what you have is already enough. Again, you just have no structure and no plan in place. And it's not really working as hard as you as you could. Or if you were making more money and it was actually working for you, the money, and you knew how to go out there and earn your worth and to be able to bring more in, and it was something that was in line with your passions and joy, and you felt like you were living more of your purpose and your passion. It's like, what would that do for your life? What would that do if every day you were like, like you were just giddy up and out the door, and you're like, honey, I'm going to go and I'm going to have a blast today at work, because again, you found like what you were connected to, and you were loving it, and you were succeeding, and you were making great money, and every day you felt valued and you felt fulfilled and you felt just totally loving life. How would that affect your marriage? How would that affect your kids if every day you came home and you're just like slapping yourself on the butt, slapping your spouse on the butt, like, I love life. This is awesome. This is amazing. Like, I can't believe, pinch me, I'm dreaming. I mean, literally, like today, multiple times today, even just yesterday, I kept telling my wife, today I was in tears. I was crying. I'm like, we are so blessed. Life is so amazing. And she's crying and she's like, I know, it's amazing. Can you believe we get to live life like this? I'm like, no, like, it is so awesome. And it wasn't always like that. It was not always like that. There was a time when I was washing dishes at work. There was a time that I was, vacuuming up carpets and cleaning toilets at work. There was a time where I had no idea how I was going to be able to be at all remotely financially successful and free and live my dreams, to be able to spend time with my family and every day with my kids, and be able to like overcome the anxiety or the sadness, the depression, and things like all that. And I had no idea. It all came back to finances. Almost every single one of those problems. I'm not saying that finances is everything, but I'm telling you a majority of what you are dealing with, if you had no financial stress whatsoever, you had more than enough. Guys, like, there's very little in life to be stressed out about. Your kid breaks their leg, you're not like, oh my gosh, do we call the ambulance or do we drive them because I don't know if I'm going to have money to pay for it? Oh my gosh, should we get the cast or should we just duct tape it? because we don't want to have to pay the deductible. So like, it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's like stuff like that. If you're just able to like, yeah, let's take them, whatever, let's call whatever, let's just go do it. It's just, again, it becomes an inconvenience. It becomes something that is like, oh, well, that's unfortunate, but let's go fix it. It doesn't cause you unnecessary suffering. If a family member dies, you're not like, God, do I go or do I not? If someone has a wedding, it's like, do I go or do I not? Like, I don't know. What are they going to think? Like, what if I don't show up? Like, what are they going to be offended? Are they going to be hurting? It's like, again, going back to, maybe you have a fight over it. Maybe again, it's like your kids are seeing you stressed out. It's like now you're feeling anxiety. Maybe now you're feeling guilt because you're not going to the wedding. You're not going to the funeral because it's like, oh man, I don't know if I have the money. Things like that. It's like, guys, if you didn't have to worry about that and you were just like, okay, let's just, yeah. Hey, can you be my bridesmaid? Yep. It's in California. It's across, it's whatever. It's going to be $1,500. Okay. Yeah, sure. Fine. Let's just do it. Guys, again, if there's no financial stress in your life, if you just had more than enough, again, is it going to cause any of these problems in your life? Very little problems in your life are going to keep popping up. Guys, I've been broke and I've been not broke. And I can tell you that I had way, way, way more dysfunction in my mental health, my marriage, and in my relationship with my kids, guys, when we were absolutely dirt broke. And guys, like, I'm just telling you, like, if you really ask yourself and you're honest with yourself, you just know that when you have that in place, when you have abundance, when you have more than enough, when you are financially just in a place where, again, you've got savings, you've got no debt, you've got things in place, and it's like, and your income is going up consistently, and you're more loving what you do in the income that you're making, and you're feeling fulfillment and passion in what you're doing. And every day it's just like, you feel like you're just living God's mission. And every day you feel like, I just like it really, it's like heaven. Like, honestly, it's like, this is the closest to like heaven on earth I can imagine. Like, every day I'm like, I cannot believe this is my life. Guys, when that is your life, think about, how is that going to affect your mental health? How is that going to affect your marriage? How is that going to affect your kids? It's going to affect it in a big way. Your parenting is going to revolutionize and transform all of those things on a significant level. But again, so many people have told you that, like, oh, it's just because of this, it's because of this, it's because of this, it's because of this. And really, at the end of the day, guys, this is like the big elephant in the room. And like, people are having dinner on the elephant, like they're vacuuming under the elephant. They're avoiding the elephant because they don't know they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to change. They don't know, okay, it's like, great, thank you so much for telling me that. Even, guys, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, again, because there's no shortage of information out there and TV shows and podcasts and books telling you, yeah, fix the finances. That'll make a difference. Like, save more money, get out of debt, pay this off first, cut this thing up, do this. And guys, you're like, I know that, like, I know I should be saving more. I know that I should have this in place. I know that we should have a plan. I know that we should be doing this, but I'm not doing it. And I tried it. I don't know how to do it. Or I tried it and it didn't work. And I don't know how to change. And I don't know how to change my behaviors. And I don't know how to keep reaching out to this. And like, when I'm feeling the stress, Jeremy, it's like, I just buy stuff and I go on Amazon, or I'm just redecorating the house, or I'm doing this, or I'm avoiding this, or I'm buying food and I'm going out to eat and I'm trying to deal with the pain and the whatever, and then my spouse, and that hurts. And when I'm not feeling connected, I'm reaching out for that. I don't know how to end it. I don't know how to deal with this stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, well, here's what you need. You need this prescription. Oh, here's what you need. You need to go to 10 years of therapy. Oh, here's what you need. No, you really need to put your kids in this. And oh, here's what you need. You really be able to get a big screen TV so that you guys can all watch more movies together and just have more family time. Oh, no, what you really need is a vacation. Oh, no, what you really need is all these different things. And guys, it's just not the truth. It is not the truth. What you think you need is not what you need. Most of the information out there is outdated. It is not true. And it ultimately is spoken from people that they themselves are struggling financially, and they are not going to tell you. Guys, again, I love pastors. Pastors are amazing. I have amazing pastors. I've had amazing pastors in the past, but even your pastors, most of your pastors are struggling financially. Is your pastor going to preach with power and authority about the importance of getting the financial stress out of your life and like how to manage money God's way and like how to do it practically and do that, guys, when they are struggling? No. How many of you guys have heard money preached on a Sunday morning with real practical, like, here's some of the things that you can do, practically to be able to work through this, and you can follow my example? No, because most pastors are struggling. Most marriage counselors are struggling. Most, therapists or specialists, things like that, are struggling. They're not going to bring it up. Most of the people that are the experts for your kids and speaking into those lives and, into your mental health, your marriage, your kids, your parents, like, all that, they're struggling financially. They have no plan. And the truth is that they are hurting. It's affecting their mental health. It's affecting their marriage and these kids. Because guys, we get the pastors, we get the mental health expert people, we get the people that are like quote unquote the experts and the ones who are doing this. And it's not that we love them, they care, but they come to us and they're in so much pain because nobody taught them. And they're like, Jeremy, we don't know what to do, and we're doing the best that we can. We're giving these people the best that we can, but we don't know how to fix it. And so you talk about all of these other things and like, oh, this is really the problem. And it's really this. And it's because you haven't done this. You need more of this. And the truth is, it's none of that. It's primarily, guys, when you get your finances in order and you are aligned with your spouse on your dreams and your goals and your passions and your commitments, and you have the stress out of your life. And guys, your intimacy returns, your passion returns, you feel ravaged again, your toes feel curled. It's like, when you see them, it's like you start to feel like such intimate teammates. You feel that the passion comes back, the spark comes back, because again, the spark came back in you. The passion came back in you. You feel alive again. When you're waking up and you see the numbers in your bank account growing and growing and growing, and you see the debt going down, 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 you feel like you're winning. You feel like a rock star. You feel like a superhero. You feel like the hero to your family, the hero to your kids. When you're able to go on that vacation and pay cash, when you're able to write that check on Sunday morning, you're not have to feel the shame as you pass the plate one more time, hoping that maybe next time you'll be able to give a bigger amount. Guys, when you have that, it feels so dignifying. You just feel like you're on top of the world. And guys, life is good. Life gets great. Your marriage gets great. That gets great. Your kids are great. Because why? Because again, they're getting the best version of you. They're getting the best version of their parents. They're seeing you confident and joyful and loving life. And like, God is so good. And they see you guys giving to the needy, giving to the poor, giving to your church, giving to, helping children across the world, helping people in sex trafficking, helping people that don't have the Bible, helping pastors that need funding, all of these different things in indigenous places, helping people that need the Bible translated, helping people that need fresh water, helping people that need clean food. They're seeing you change the world. Guys, your kids want to be like you. Your kids want to be like you, but there comes a point in your life, if you are so stressed, if there is so much dysfunction in your marriage and your personal life because of what's going on ultimately with the finances, and hopefully by now you see it, guys, there will come a point where every single parent will become the person that their kids don't want to be like. And some of you guys are watching this and you're like, you know what, Jeremy, my parents primarily, the gift that they gave me was showing me what I don't want, not what I do want. And guys, how many of you guys want to be that? I mean, it's like, I know I don't. That's my biggest fear in life is my kids like looking back on my life and saying, you know what, my dad was a great guy. He tried his best, but man, he sure taught me like how I don't want to be a parent. He sure taught me that I really want to be around more for my kids, that I should work smarter and not harder. And that I could really, get my money under control so that I could spend more quality time with them, so that I'm not as impatient with my kids, that I'm more gracious with my kids, that I'm able to spend more time investing in your kids' personal development and growth. There's some things that your kids, like whether it's summer camps or whether it's certain things that they need to do or they want to do, sports activities, some of them, it's like they have passions on their heart and they can't live those out because they don't have the money coming in through you to be able to support their dream. And guys, again, and I know it breaks your heart and it pains you, and I'm so sorry, and I hate that because, again, I've lived through it personally. But what I can tell you is there's a better way. You don't have to struggle so much. You don't have to be always saying no to things. You don't have to be seeing your kids so disappointed. I promise you guys, there is a better way. You can get free. You can do that. And you can ultimately leave a better legacy for your kids, a legacy that your kids look back on and they go, oh my gosh, I just want to be 100%. I just want to be exactly like my mom. I want to be exactly like my dad. I want to emulate everything in their financial life. But guys, if we're just telling our kids what to do and we're not showing them, guys, ultimately, how else are they going to learn? Because eventually we all get smart enough as kids. Again, your parents say, hey, don't drink. But eventually, if you're seeing your dad every night, downing 3 beers, eventually you're like, Dad, I hear that, but I guess it's clearly okay. So I guess I'll drink a little bit too. You can tell your kids, save. You can tell your kids, don't get in debt. You can tell your kids, have a plan for your money. But guys, if we're not living in congruence with that and we're not doing it, eventually your kids are going to be like, clearly that's not really the case. Clearly this isn't true. And they're just going to follow what they've been taught. The apple does not fall far from the tree. So again, if you want your kids to have a better life than you, if you want them to be more successful than you, if you want them to be able to leave a legacy for their kids and to be able to change the family tree, it starts with you changing the family tree. It starts with you getting things together and dealing with, and hopefully after about 30 minutes now, you're realizing that more of the problems in your life are related to finances than you thought. You've just been telling yourself it's not. And again, it's so much of that is just because, again, some of the times that's just how you cope. Sometimes it's just, again, not wanting to have to acknowledge the big elephant in the room that, again, that we're having tea on and we're sipping, we're like, smacking out of the way as we try to get to our door, but it's right there in front of you. But then so many of you guys, again, why I do this is from a place of empathy and compassion, because you've just been told by so many experts that isn't the problem, that it's all these other things, that it's really, that you are the problem, that there's different things, or there's the kids, they're struggling with this, or that this thing, or that this diagnosis or whatever. And the truth is that if you could just get this under control, if you get your money under control and rocking and solid in place, and you have a solid, felt like you were truly passionate teammates and warriors for the kingdom together with your finances, with your spouse, feeling the passion, living out your dreams, and seeing the fulfillment of the fruit of your work through your giving, you would have so much blessing and joy in your life that almost none of these other things would really be a reality. I can say that from personal experience. Our clients will tell you that when you apply this and when you do it and when you get it under control, your entire, your mental health, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, everything in your life gets better. Everything. And even just ask yourself, would it get worse? No, of course not. So then obviously it's, guys, I'm telling you, it gets better. And some of you have experienced this. You've had times in your life where you weren't in debt. You've had times in your life where you had a big emergency fund, or you had times in your life where you had a ton, like I say, a ton in savings, or you had times in your life where again, this money was not an issue and there was always more than enough. And it was like, and if you've ever been there, maybe some of you guys haven't, and that's why you have a hard time connecting with this. And you're like, I don't know what that's like, Jeremy, but again, use your imagination. Right? If you didn't have to think about, if you weren't waking up in the 3 a.m. with the cold sweats because, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Or every time your family talks about, oh man, what about the unemployment? Hopefully nothing happens to your job or your spouse's job, or man, hopefully your business survives through this. It's like, what if every time you heard those comments, it was just like water off a duck's back, because you knew we're good. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to be fine. If anything, I'm going to prosper because my competition, they're actually going to be freaked out, and they're going to close up shop, and we're just going to take over their market share. So actually, I'm really excited about this because we had the money to weather the storm. Oh, you know what? I'm actually really excited about, coronavirus, because again, like now, a lot of people are losing their jobs when the economy comes back. Now those people, it's like, maybe they're not as ambitious. Maybe again, they just got hit so hard that they've kind of given up. And so I'm actually going to step up, and I'm going to find I'm going to find my dream career, because there's going to be more availability, because now they're rehiring and they're going to be looking for the best. And I'm going to feel so good about life. I'm going to be loving life so much. Again, I'm going to be having such a great marriage, such a great relationship with my kids. I'm going to feel so confident, have so much more joy and happiness and peace and all these things. Like, man, I'm going to be their number one draft pick, because again, who doesn't want to be around somebody that's just happy and joyful and fulfilled, because you don't have that stress weighing you down. So again, guys, if you are wanting to finally address and deal with and the financial stress, and just fix it at the root, so that you can transform your mental health, you can transform marriage, transform your relationship with your kids and even your kids' lives, go to dreamteammarriage.com. Guys, book a free call with us. We will help you guys figure this out, and we will help you guys get to the root of what is it that's really keeping you stuck. What is it that's really been stopping you from the life that you guys want? What is it that's really been holding you guys back, and how to create a plan and a strategy and a system in place to be able to fix it, and to fix it quickly, so that you can get back to the best version of you, for yourself, for your own well-being, for your relationship with God, for your relationship with your spouse, and your relationship with your kids. And guys, when you get those things in place, your whole life is going to transform. Life gets good. Life gets great. And guys, it's one of those things where like we're having right now, where we wake up every day and I'm like, God, I cannot believe this is my life. Guys, I am not BSing you. This is not just some sort of thing I'm saying to try to, it's like, and I click the off button and I go, I'm going to down, a big glass of wine, need some chocolate and bonbons and things like that. You guys, like I what you see is what you get. And any of our clients will tell you this. It's like that are spending, significant amount of time with me and our family, is that, guys, this is just our life. This is how we are, because again, we've experienced the fruit of all the things that we're teaching. And that's why we pass this on to you guys and want to give you guys hope, because it's possible. I promise life can be better. And guys, life can be so much better than what you've ever imagined and what you've ever experienced. And I promise it could even when it comes to your marriage, it could be better than it was when you first were dating. And it's like my wife and I, it feels like that now. It's like we feel more connected in love, so much more passion, more of a spark than we've ever had in our entire, relationship right now. When it comes to my relationship with my kids, I've never felt this close to them. We've never been having this much fun. It is a blast. It is a joy. We have the time, we have the money, we have the freedom to be able to do more with them. And guys, even in my own personal mental health journey and things like that, I don't struggle with anxiety anymore. I don't struggle with depression anymore. I don't struggle with overwhelm, guilt, shame, anger. And if I do, it's literally lasts about 1-2 minutes, and it happens. I can't even count on one hand how many times that would happen in a day. I know how to deal with it. I have the strategies I've invested in myself to understand the strategies of how to deal with those at the root, so that those other issues don't take effect into other areas of my life. And I'm just living every day constantly. It's like I'm in happiness, I'm in joy, I'm in gratitude, and I'm not coping, I'm not minimizing, I'm not sticking my head in the sand pretending like, like everything is peaches and cream and butterflies, unicorns, and rainbows. Sometimes we have really hard days. Sometimes we have things that happen in circumstances and challenges in our life. Even like we might have some major thing happen in our business, and it's like, okay, great, but it doesn't rock us, it doesn't destroy us, it doesn't totally, we don't collapse underneath the pressure, because again, it's who we become in the process and how we know how to handle those challenges and just live in constant gratitude, live in constant a place of that. And so much of it has just come from, really just getting the finances in order. And so, guys, again, if you need help and you want to be able to do that, go to dreamteammarriage.com, book a call to speak with us, and we will help you guys to be able to get this under control, transform your financial destiny, and even just create a better life right now, better than it could ever be. Even just a week or two into the process of fixing it, you will feel like a completely transformed person when you get the right help. Our clients will tell you any of that. Even people that are a couple weeks into working with us, they're already starting to feel like completely different individuals and people. And again, to be honest, can we help you? I don't know. We turn a lot of people away, not because they're bad people, but again, a lot of times it's like we just don't feel like it's really a fit, or like they're really going to have what it takes to be successful. Guys, let's be honest. Like anybody that says that getting out of debt or transforming your financial situation or, getting a life of abundance, it's like, it's just a walk in the park. It's not. Like it takes work, it takes effort, it takes energy. But guys, ultimately, when you're inspired and every day you're so excited about your life now and where it's heading and how amazing your marriage is now, your personal life and your marriage, and it's like in your relationship with your kids, and every day you're just becoming more and more joyful. It's like the process should be fun, guys. And I hate that so many of you guys have been lied to make it sound like the process of getting financially free has to be a grind and has to be miserable and where you wear yourself out. And guys, that's why we do what we do, is because I've heard that rhetoric so much that it drives me crazy. And that's why we're speaking this truth, because it does not have to be an absolute, fatigue fest. It should be fun. Like it should be joyful. It should be exciting. Like it should be like every day you feel more and more satisfied. Even if you're working really, really hard, which again, in order to get out of debt or transform your life, you have to work hard, but it shouldn't be a grind. It shouldn't be draining. It should be exciting. It should be the type of work that draws you closer together, where you have more energy in the morning, more energy at night, and where you feel fulfillment in the work that you're doing. You should have that. That's what it should be. And it's not about just going out there delivering pizzas and driving Uber and wearing yourself out and, sacrificing your health and eating rice and beans and doing all these different things and selling selling all of your stuff and never going on vacation, and doing all these things. And to you guys, it's just not that is not a fun process. And that's why so many people, they do that. And then ultimately they end up giving up. They ultimately end up like, this sucks. They don't make it. And so many of the people that you see that start those journeys, they're like, oh, we did it, whatever. What you don't know is, again, that a few months later, they go right back into the same old stuff because, again, they're drained, they're exhausted, and ultimately now they're so fatigued and burnt out because they know that, oh my gosh, now it's like, okay, I dealt with the debt, but I'm still nowhere near how much I need in savings. I'm still nowhere near ready for retirement. And they give up because it's so overwhelming and they have no idea where to begin. And ultimately, it's like, you don't see that part of it. They go right back into the same old habits. So I want to help you guys break the chains and break the habits and things that are really keeping you guys stuck. I'm not sure which Facebook user this is. You need to connect StreamYard so I can see your name, but spot on. I've come to the realization that you always have, that you always hear majority divorce are caused by money issues. I've never thought, no, never me, looking in the mirror, exactly. It's something that's a big problem. It needs to be fixed immediately. So guys, again, I'm telling you, it's like so many of you guys, even when it comes to that, if you are dealing with more and more stress, it tends to hurt your marriage. It tends to cause more issues. And guys, again, what happens is, again, even if you don't agree on things, you don't know how to communicate the right way because you don't want to cause a rift, or you don't want to cause some sort of issue between the two of you. You start to go further and further apart. And what happens is you eventually will become, it'll be a first name basis sort of relationship, or worse, it will cost you the marriage and you'll get divorced. Guys, people argue with me. They fight with me. Oh, Jeremy, we would never do that. We made a covenant. Jeremy, we told it. And it's like, and half of all marriages end in divorce. There's really not a big statistical difference with Christians. So, okay, I get it. I get that you love your spouse. I get that you're like, I would never separate. We would never do this. We would never just do that. But guys, like, you're human beings. Like, you can only deal with heartache and alone and the feeling alone and the emptiness and the sadness and the depression for so long before people just snap. And sometimes it's not even snapping in the sense of like divorce papers. It's just that this is where affairs happen. This is where, again, people end up leaving. This is where, again, even maybe your spouse just checks out on life. And eventually they just become such a shell of who they are, or you become such a shell of who you are, that the other person, it's like they don't even want to be around anymore. It's so painful. And it's like, I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm just telling you it happens. And it breaks my heart every day. Some of the godliest people I know that mentored me, that were some of my greatest role models, it's like, guys, their marriages, they're ultimately failed. And it was like, are you serious? And all of you guys, I'm sure you've had this happen where you look at those people. I mean, guys, be honest, like pastors, leaders, family members, friends, you're like, them? No, no, there's no way. There's no way. It's like maybe they're not divorced yet, but you hear about what's going on in their marriage. You're like, are you serious? You're dealing with that? Or again, or it's costing their marriage, or somebody's taken their own life, or any of those sorts of things that seem extreme and like, oh, we would never do that. And I would hope and pray that that would never happen either. But guys, it just happens. To the best of people, to some of the best people and that I know, it has happened. Again, my own father, ended his life because of the stress and the pressure. And I know for a fact that if these things were under control and he had that, I'm like 99% sure he would not have gone where he ended up going. Because again, he would have had the resources to get the help he needed. He would have had the time to be able to reinvest in his career when he had to lose his job because he was so stressed out and so ashamed and so sad that it cost him his career. He had to start all the way over. It's like we would have had, again, there's so many things he would have been able to have done if the stress wasn't there. But the clock was ticking, the money was draining, and every day it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually you start to think, man, maybe I'm the common denominator, the problem here. Maybe it's me. Maybe if I wasn't around, maybe they would get under control, or maybe they wouldn't see that this was how it happened, and they'd get the life insurance thing, or maybe that they would get this or the pension early or whatever. It's like, guys, I'm just death. I'm just telling you guys, it happens. Whether it's divorce, whether it's that, again, whether it's just death by 1,000 cuts, where you're trying to deal with the pain through drinking or eating food, or just just sitting around and being, and just, vegging out in front of the TV and gaining weight, and you're seeing your health go down, you're seeing your blood pressure go up, you're seeing your cholesterol go up, you're seeing your weight go up, things like that, guys. Again, it's like people say, oh, Jeremy, I would never self-harm myself like that, but you're already doing it. You're already doing it through all these different ways that you're trying to cope with the pain. And if you didn't have the financial stress, really ask yourself, would it be hurting our marriage this much? Would it be hurting our finances, or our parenting this much, our kids this much? Would it be hurting my mental health this much? And I can promise you guys the answer would be no. And that's true. I know it's true. All of our clients know that that's true, and they're living testimonies of that. So again, guys, if you need help, go to dreamteammarriage.com, book a call to speak with us. We will serve you. We will love you. If we can help you, we'll let you know. And if we can, we'll absolutely be able to help you guys get out from underneath this stress, so that you guys can get your lives back and get back the best version of you, for your family, for your kids, for your kids, for your kids' kids, and to leave a legacy that you can be proud of. And hear, well done, good and faithful servant. So again, love you guys so much. If you enjoyed this live, again, give us, leave a comment. Let me know if there's any questions you guys have. Share this with somebody who needs it. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's someone like that. And again, more than anything, guys, we're here to serve you. Dreamteammarriage.com if you need help. Go book a call. So love you guys. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. God bless.